Good? Okay. It is 6 p.m., so we will call the meeting to order. Hey, Dave. Come on in. In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting will be recorded for broadcast over the Lunenburg Public Access Channel. The agenda lists all the topics which may be discussed at the meeting and are those reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by open meeting law. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, members of the public. So, do we have any public comments first from the committee members?
I have a school committee meeting at 7, so I'll be hanging out.
Gotcha. Thanks, Brian. Anybody else?
I'm sorry.
That's all right. Any public comment from the public? Nothing? Just observing? Okay. So our main topic tonight is to discuss and evaluate the candidates. So, how have we made out? Have you folks been able to go through and kind of
So we did
do a little ranking yourself? Or?
I kind of went through the scorecards. You know, it was fun. By the way, you guys all looked very good up there.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Good.
But, you know, it did well. I'm glad some of you dressed up, though, but I'm only kidding. But I went through and did the scorecard.
Okay, good.
For each one. I'm not sure if each one of, but I also, if you wanted, I put together a quickie Excel when I was stuck in traffic. And,
okay.
So that if you wanted to fill in, it would total an average. But I don't know how everybody else did things. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't actually, do the numerical ranking. I use this as a guide in my thinking process.
Yeah,
okay.
If you needed a numerical ranking, I can always back into that.
Well, we're going to have to get to one, but I mean, I think we'll just. I guess I had all I can do to get the references called, and I had success with that.
Oh, good.
Between Heather and myself, Heather called the DiGiorgio
Yes.
references, and I called the Abacus and Johnson references. I got a lot of. I had to leave voicemails, a lot of them, but I got 3 or 4, I think, for Johnson, and 3 or 4 for Abacus, and Heather got 4, I think, for DiGiorgio. So that was good. Good response rate.
Well, do you want to recap that first? Just to
we can
see if
that'd be good.
If we can maybe,
Yep.
if there's one that you said,
Yeah, I think actually it does kind of emerge as, I guess let me backtrack. Do you have anything you want to say, John? Okay. We ended our public comment section, but it certainly didn't want to preclude you. Hang on one second. I have this on an Excel sheet that I didn't print, so.
sometimes I think the touch screen's more problems, more pain than it's worth.
Yeah, but I like it better than using them.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll start with Johnson Robert. I'll give you my summary of notes. I was talking on the speakerphone and trying to type at the same time, which for an engineer is no joke. It's not in my comfort zone. So the first one I talked to was Drake It. And I'll just try to read the project thing. Drake It, and actually Drake It, they have 2 references on here. They're currently doing the fire station, and they've done the town hall,
right.
And they've actually also done the library. Okay. So Drake It has hired them now 3 times to do 3 different projects. So the reference that I first called wasn't with the town anymore. He was the old town manager. But I talked to the assistant town manager, so it wasn't who they referenced in this, but she had visibility with the project. Like I said, I'm going to abbreviate. JRA has done several projects with the town hall, the library, the fire station. The town hall project, they list here as the new Dracut Town Hall is a 2-story building with full basement exiting directly to grade to facilitate access to storage space. The main floor houses a large meeting room as well as the office of the town clerk and the financial departments. The upper level will house the regulatory and administrative offices and additional smaller meeting facilities. The total project cost was $9.7 million. The square footage was 23.5. It was, of course, a municipal project. It was not a renovation project. It was a new construction project. Let me just do the fire station one, too. That was in here. JRA is working with the town of Dracut to design a replacement station for the Dracut Fire Station number 3. This is the third capital project we have been selected to work with the Dracut Permanent Building Committee on. The existing Station 3 answers the most calls of the 3 stations in town, but is the smallest of the 3. The design for the new station will support 3 fire trucks, a boat, a brush truck, and 3 crew members with sleeping quarters, kitchen, dining areas, and small fitness room. It is estimated to be a $6 million project. It's currently, I don't know if it's, I'm actually not sure of the status, but it's estimated to be completed in 2021, and the square footage is 8,000 square feet, just for your reference. Mm-hmm. So they've done those 2 projects in addition to the library. The person I was talking to didn't have first-hand knowledge of the design process, so she wasn't able to answer questions concerning a comparison, how they were during design relative to costs, laying out cost implications. She also couldn't give me any information relative to the comparison between the construction cost estimate and what the final cost was of the 2 projects that they had done, because she wasn't involved in those components of the project. But she had visibility with their public presentation skills. They had she described them as very good with working with the public. The staff was very easy to work with. You could always get a hold of them, and you were almost all the time working directly with the principal of the firm. Mm-hmm. Another question was the design work completed on schedule? The answer to that was yes. They didn't have any concerns there. Do you have any reservations regarding any of the work performed? They said no, highly recommend. Would you use this candidate again? Of course, the answer to that was yes, because they're currently working with them for a 3rd time, and they just characterized them as a, quote, very good architect. Second one I called was the Hopkinson Public Library project. I shouldn't say the second one I called. The second one I got a hold of. I called all of them, but I only got a hold of Hopkinton Public Library. The Hopkinton Public Library was housed in 2 historic structures that were previously linked together. The renovations and additions reorganized the library and expanded the existing historic structures from 7,000 to 22,500 square feet. The renovation is designed in sympathy with the architecture of the original historic structures. New accessible entrance provides access to the library. So this one is roughly a $10 million project, and it includes new components and renovation components. So it's more of a
addition renovation.
Yeah, it has a renovation component to it. Spoke to the library director in this case, who was the reference. This particular one was constructed with some grant money, but it also required some town funds from the sounds of it. So design work, again, with this person, the design work was done before she got involved with the project, so she was really involved during the construction phase of the project. The project came in within budget, so below the estimated below the estimate. There were a few change orders, but they were directly, she described them as not related to design issues. They were related to the fact that they were renovating really old buildings, and they found some things with foundations that had to be
Some unforeseen conditions.
unforeseen conditions, but it was sort of in the same breath she was saying that in spite of that, they still came in under the construction estimate. So there was, they had good success with that. They were very good with public presentations. Notably on this one, there was a lot of abutter concerns with this particular project, and she noted that they're very good at working with the abutters that came for the projects and sort of plain speak, really good at talking through, trying to explain in layman's terms what they were talking about. Did the firm have continuity with staff through the project? Yes, there was always a team of a few people that, and again, that they carried through for the entire project. I asked again about the design work, whether there was any issues relative to schedule, and she wasn't involved at that point, so she wasn't able to comment. Any reservations regarding the work? She couldn't think of anything. So, would you use this candidate again? Yes. Just generally, she said they designed a beautiful building. They had good vision. There was she I guess maybe I should have put this under the, do you have any reservations? She said the only thing that she could think of that was negative, and it wasn't really even a big deal, was they had a functionality issue with one of the store entry systems that the architect proposed. That never really worked right. Overall, great to work with. Next one, Hadley Public Library. Spoke to Patrick Barrezo, who was a former resident of Lunenburg, also the library director. I thought that was interesting.
I'm sorry, where was this again?
This was in Hadley Public Library. Patrick is a former resident of Lunenburg, and he's now the library director in Hadley. So, just thought that was an interesting fact. They built a new library, again using grants. The process began in 2015. So they've been working with the architect for quite some time. This one was completed in...
No, it's still...
Yeah, that's right. This one's in construction. So the architect's been working with them for quite some time, or they've been working with the architect for quite some time. The delay has been relative to permitting, local permitting. They had he described that generally as a difficult process to get through. And the building is currently under construction. Thanks, Dave. Bids were higher than expected, so they had to nix. They had a couple of alternates that they had identified in the bid process, so they had to remove a couple of alternates to get the cost down to what the funding was for the project. I'll just say as a note, I talked to somebody else on another reference, and that's not altogether unexpected for projects being bid in the last 2 years. All projects that I know of there's tons of work out there, so none of these contractors are having to really bargain price their work, because there's a lot of work out there. So I think there's a definite acceleration, I'm seeing it in my industry, there's a definite cost acceleration in this economy, so that could have been part of that. Construction cost estimate to the project cost. Just point out they're not finished yet. There hasn't been any significant change orders so far. None of the ones that have been issued have been related to the design. And again, the bids came in higher than expected. So, public speaking, they described it as very effective. They were working with Phil. I think Phil was one of the gentlemen that was with us.
Yes.
They said Phil's a very good public speaker. Explains things clearly. Phil was the one that worked on the project throughout the process. Again, I got a comment that he's very responsive, picks up his phone, easy to get hold of. Design work completed on schedule. Yes, the design work was on schedule. The delays in the project start was due to other factors such as town permitting and that kind of thing. They didn't have any reservations, and they would work with them again. He had an interesting twist. He said that they function without ego, so it was an interesting way of classifying them. So they're kind of down to earth, I think is what he's trying to say. Good at listening, is what he described. South Hadley Public Library. Architect worked with them for their site, to select a site, so they actually looked at 5 or 6 different sites, came up with concept plans, and helped the town identify which site they wanted to purchase. So they were really good at, in terms of pay attention to overall project cost during the design phase. He described them as good because that was sort of the whole task there when they were selecting sites. It was relative to that, a lot of cost implications there. The project came in under budget. Some of that, this is one of the ones I was saying, some of that was related to the fact that when it was bid, it was a great time to be bidding a project, probably similar to our high school project. We get good, they were in a good sort of a favorable to the owner economic climate. Change orders came from local requests mainly, so owners requested change orders. They described them as very good at public speaking. This is actually what he believes kind of got them the job in the first place. Their sort of banner and how they conducted themselves. Describes them as Phil was the primary contact again, plain spoken. The town people could relate to them, not condescending. They had good continuity. Phil again was the point of contact throughout the project. So you were always talking, and he's a principal, so you're always talking to a decision maker, which they found helpful. They met all their design deadlines. There were some delays, but they didn't relate to the architect. They related to other factors. They expressed no reservations with any of the work that was performed. They would use them again. Building came out beautiful. They designed nice, functional space. They designed space that was flexible, so flexibility to different users. Small firm, highly qualified. Those are the 4 I had for them. I'll go to Abacus, which is the next one I did, and then I'll go through Heather's. She did send me hers. So. Abacus. I called the Franklin. Let me get this out here. First person I got a hold of was the Franklin adaptive reuse of the Franklin School. Which was number 2. So I'll just read that. It was a 100-year-old school. It was redeveloped as a mixed-income housing. The redevelopment team worked closely with the city to meet municipal goals for site design, urban revitalization, infrastructure improvements, and affordable housing. It was the winner of a Boston Society of Architects Housing Award. This was an interesting one. This was an elementary school that the city of Medford was selling. So, City of Medford, let's get these messed up. Medford, right?
Medford.
Medford.
There's almost a D in it.
Yeah. Actually sold the property to a private developer. So the guy I was talking to was a private developer. So just want to be clear about that. This one is not a municipal project. So it was a privately funded project. I asked them if they demonstrated concern for overall cost effectiveness during the project design phase. This gentleman said that he didn't think the architect really had much role to play as a rule in the overall outcome of the cost. So I'm just telling you what. But he did. I pressed him a little bit more on it, asking him things like energy efficiency, design options, cost impacts of each design option. And he did say yes. They walked him through that process. They were proactive with respect to energy efficiency. They brought in consultants when they needed to sort of assess that kind of thing during the design process, not at the end of the project as an afterthought. So I didn't get a fully satisfactory answer on that one from this gentleman, but. The final project cost was in line with the initial estimates. They were very good at presentations. They had a lot of city council meetings, presentation before the city council. They had good staff continuity. They had one primary contact throughout the project. Was the design work completed on schedule? Yes, there were no issues relative to scheduling. Do you have any reservations regarding any of the work that was performed? He expressed no reservations. Would you use this candidate again? Yes. The firm did a fantastic job throughout the project. I asked him for anything else, and he said he kind of gave us some advice. He seemed like a kind of an experienced developer, so he said think about the life cycle of the building and think about your long-term operation costs. So for the committee's personal edification, and I know that's a big deal for Mr. Wanda. So, I contacted the Harvard old library, the town of Harvard, Marie, sorry, the assistant town manager. I can't pronounce her last name. This was a small project. It was only about $600,000. My memory serves me. Yeah. 3,600 square feet. It was a renovation of a portion of the old library. She described them as good at identifying cost ramifications during the design process. She said that the construction estimate the final cost came out very close to the initial construction estimate. This was a project where there was sort of multiple people in town that had voices, perhaps differing opinions, and they were good at balancing between the multiple parties in town. Did the firm provide continuity with staff through the project? Yes, but it sounded like they did not have a principal assigned to this one, so she wasn't extremely impressed she kind of gave me they were okay. It wasn't a glowing review in this category. This one was actually not a glowing review, as will become apparent. Was the design work completed on schedule? There was no significant issues. It was sort of as expected. Do you have any reservations regarding any of the work that was performed? She describes them as not great on the construction end of things. There was some, she didn't give me specifics, but she said there was some omissions, quote, design omissions. Would you use this candidate again? She said yes for schematic design only. So she kind of described that this candidate is great, sort of up through schematic, but that they didn't have a great experience during the construction phase of the project. Adaptive reuse of the Peter Buckley School in Concord. I talked to Mary Ann Nelson, who I think is the Council on Aging. It was an old school building. It was renovated into one-bedroom apartments in 2 phases, and Abacus was hired to do both. There were not a lot of change orders with the project. The estimate was close to the actual cost of the project at the end of the project. She did not have a lot of public visibility in their public presentations because she wasn't part of the process, but the ones that she saw, which was only a few, she thought they did a good job. They had good staffing. They had a continuous point of contact throughout. The principal was involved throughout the project. Any reservations regarding any of the work? No reservations expressed. Would you use this candidate again? Yes. General notes. Great architect, beautiful outcome. Everybody loves that thing. The abacus. All right. DiGiorgio. I did not ask these questions. Hey, Matt.
The commissioners are going to be coming in for their meeting downstairs.
Okay.
If you guys leave before 7, can you just leave the lights on the door open?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you got it.
Sorry to interrupt, guys.
No problem. So Heather called these, Heather or Heather's office. I think it was Heather, though. So I'll try to do the best I can at summarizing these. So she asked the same questions, though, and coordinated on the questions. Brookline, Davis, Path, Footbridge, feasibility. Well, I'll just read this. So, feasibility study includes structural assessment, non-destructive testing, still working on this project with the town, early action plan to make repairs to the bridge to make it safe in interim, and final feasibility report if it can be rehabbed or if a full replacement is needed with a cost analysis. That's the general project description. Did they demonstrate a concern for overall cost effectiveness during the design phase? Yes, the final report will be, in fact, a cost analysis, so that's sort of what they're being hired to do in this case. How close was the construction estimate to the final project cost? The proposal is in line with the cost so far, awaiting estimates for work outside of their contract.
Okay.
This project doesn't seem to be completely apples to relative.
Right.
But it was a reference and we checked it nonetheless. So, how would you rate their public presentation skills? They haven't had a public presentation yet. Did the firm provide continuity with the staff throughout the project? Dedicated staff, and dealt with just 2 individuals for the duration. So again, this was the applicant of the 3 that was the large, they have a lot of employees. So, was the design work completed on schedule? Yes. At times the town delayed the process, not the firm. Do you have any reservations regarding any of the work? None. Would you use this candidate again? Yes. Bellingham Senior Center. It's still in the design phase, I think is what she means to say. It's still in construction design phase, so perhaps preparing the construction documents. Have been working with the firm for about a year. Did the preliminary design and working on design development phase and going to annual town meeting, renovation that includes additions. That's a project description, sorry, I'm trying to move fast here, so. Did they demonstrate an overall concern for cost effectiveness during the design? Yes. There's been understanding of funding caps. Have produced nice designs, very impressed with their work product and attentiveness. How close was the construction estimate to final project cost? Not to the construction phase yet, so not applicable. Have been on target with design estimate. How would you rate their public presentation skills? She says by far the most professional in presentation skills, so good presentation skills. Did the firm provide continuity with staff through the project? Yes. Same people involved from day one. Frequent conference calls and in-person meetings. Was the design work completed on schedule? On schedule given the timetable given. Any reservations? No reservations. Working with the... Would you use this candidate again? Yes. General notes, overall very impressed with the firm, and Tom Lamb was the lead, so Tom was the gentleman that gave us the presentation.
Yeah.
The Harvard Hildreth House expansion. Again, she talked to Mary, must have been later in the day, because when I talked to her, she hadn't talked to expansion project, not a renovation. This will be a freestanding building adjacent to the existing building. I think they presented this in their
They did.
presentation to us, one of their... demonstration of concern for overall cost effectiveness during the design phase. Yes, Tom is the lead and is very inventive. Old plan was to have attached building, and he came up with this idea to detach the buildings to address many issues and worked across many stakeholders. How close was the construction estimate to the final cost? It has not been bid yet. How would you rate the public presentation skills? Presentations to building committee and selectmen. Tom Lamb presented all those presentations and has very good presentation skills. Continuity of staff. Tom and Chris have been involved from the start. So, how was the design work completed on schedule? Yes. Very compressed schedule because capital committee wanted preliminary estimates in October, and project started the previous June. So they started in June. They were able to deliver cost estimates by October. So only reservation was the lead architect. Chris had some different ideas, but in the end they were very responsive to client concerns. Would you use this candidate again? Yes. And the last one, Salem South Harbor parking garage evaluation. It was obviously a parking garage, maintenance report on structure and architectural ideas on what they could do with the garage. Is there any more detail on this?
You're on the wrong one. Yeah, sorry about that. No, sorry. Yeah, I'm just gonna get there. The next to last.
Okay. Currently preparing a comprehensive report of our inspections, which include recommendations for repairs and construction cost estimates. We will also be preparing for the city, a comprehensive building maintenance plan and a 5-year capital improvement plan with associated cost estimates. So, did they demonstrate a concern for overall cost effectiveness? The answer she just indicates yes. How close was the construction estimate to final cost? Design work only. Didn't start with initial costs. They provided the baseline. Accounting and estimating is very good. They haven't done any public presentations, only in-house meetings. Continuity of staff. Yes, they had continuity of staff. This is one of the strong points of the firm. There were delays, scheduling delays on the town's end, but not due to the firm. Right on schedule, even with the towns delaying the original start of the project. Very happy with the firm. No reservations. Would you use them again? Definitely, they are now an on-call firm for the city. Heather said she described in the general notes. She said, "I described our project in reference," and the reference said this would be in the company's wheelhouse. So, that's it. Heather called I think Heather called almost the whole list and left, like I did, left a lot of voicemails.
Yes, figured so.
It's hard to, yeah. I had a couple, actually on Johnson, a few of the older projects. I called one number that wasn't in service. I called.
References.
Yeah, I called another. Well, the Drake one, the town manager that they referenced was no longer with the town, but I was able to talk to somebody, so that was okay. There's another one where the Sturbridge, it was done in 2010. the person was no longer the town administrator, so it was, I had some of that issues, but.
Well, thank you for all that work. I know it was a lot of time-consuming.
Yeah, so my summary on that is, I mean, we can kind of go through the metrics, but I felt like pretty much everything that was, all the information given on Johnson, on my two anyway, all the ones given by Johnson were by and large glowing estimates. They had glowing references. I was a little taken aback by the advocates with getting one on their list that really wasn't terrific. So that kind of knocked them back a little bit, in my opinion. And I just read Heather's for the first time, so we can all kind of make our opinions on that. To Giorgio, by and large, those appeared to be fairly.
Yeah.
So there's some specific things we need to go through in the rubric here. So I don't know if we want to just do that first, that specific rubric first, which is tab C, since it's familiar in a head, or how we want to.
Well, I
Go
don't know. Would it help to narrow it down to maybe 2 out of the 3? I know Abbott just didn't perform well on tab B because in their response they only list 4 projects that are in the range.
Right.
So they score
Pretty low.
in there. And personally, I don't think they did a great job with their presentation. I didn't like the way they answered some of the questions. I thought our questions were pretty direct and straightforward, and the other 2 firms did a really good job of going through it, and they rambled.
Yeah.
They didn't have really clear, concise responses to some of the concerns. So
I kind of agree with that. The only other thing that I was left with the impression that they they also said a lot of the right things.
What you wanted to hear, what they thought you wanted to hear? No.
Yeah, there were I have a couple notes, but there were several things where I'm like, wow. It's like they were listening to a couple of our meetings. And then it dawned on me, they probably did listen to a couple of our meetings. Because they had a couple of hot button things that we had said, even with the looking for ways to be more efficient and not using if we could take down partitions and not use things that we had said almost verbatim in our, so. Take that
I think was left with the feeling that, I wasn't wholly impressed by them, but the feeling that they were going to try to spend more money than we wanted to spend. They were going to design the building, they wanted to design it and try to. They spent most of their energy convincing us we should spend more money.
I get that impression too.
And my concern, really, my impression coming away from the discussion with them was really around the time frame and their ability to deliver. They seem to be a very small, very, very small outfit, number one. Number two, they talked about a process that included sending out surveys. I'm like, how much time would, frankly, if you're depending on a public presentation skill, as you said, I was not bowled over by the presentation. The other 2 I thought did a superior job as presenters. But my major concern, was their ability to focus and deliver on time. Because at one point they were talking about, you decide how much it's going to be. You could buy the Cadillac, the Prius, or you can buy the Chevy.
A little bit of pie,
it's sort of no, we have to. This is going to be a focused discussion on getting to the goal for a certain amount of money.
Yeah, and you're right. And one of my questions that I asked about do you have any concerns meeting? I think it was my question about, do you have any concerns meeting the project schedule? And he kind of answered it by saying, in my experience, building committees say they want something done on a certain time frame, but then they don't. But that's not really what they want. And I was just like, okay.
Yeah, he seemed more than interested to drag it out for a long period of time.
Yeah. So I guess I kind of agree with those sentiments. But be that as it may, I think we still need to, I mean, you guys tell me, but I think we still need to score them.
Okay, well, then, what I'd suggest is that we go one by one.
Yeah, let's do that one first. Let's score Abacus first. Let's just talk right through the metrics here.
You want to try and do this by consensus rather than...
I would like to.
Yeah.
Scoring rubric. Table A. General quality of response. Highly advantageous means that they met and/or exceeded all RFQ requirements, including format, understanding of project, completeness of the proposal. Advantageous means that they met all RFQ requirements, including format, understanding of project, completeness of proposal. So, just remove the exceeded verbiage there. 2 is acceptable. Met all basic proposal requirements. Some follow-up for clarification and amplification of proposal elements may be required or was required. Unacceptable. Did not meet one or more response requirements. Discussion.
Yeah, I'll jump in. I wouldn't. I think they did a good job. They did put some thought into, our particular project ahead of time. They did the little sketches and what have you. But I think they did kind of have a little wishy-washy response when we asked about the hazardous material testing and whether that was in their scope or if they it was written in our RFQ. So
like they said, we can do that if you want.
Yeah. So I was not sure of the complete understanding of what we were looking for on that end. And again, kind of what we were just talking about, understanding that trying to do this on a budget and,
Yeah.
I don't think they got that part of the understanding the project.
Yeah, I had them I have them at a 2. Acceptable. I think they definitely met the basic requirements, but we definitely had some follow-up we needed to do with them.
That's probably where I would...
We didn't get some answers were better than others, but we didn't get terrific answers across the board. So.
But from the basic proposal, though, so I kind of did mine a lot on the written because of just the thing. And, I think they prepared a good package, but, obviously when I saw them on live, I wasn't as impressed with what was happening.
Yeah.
I would agree. I had filled it out before the presentation.
Yeah.
I had them ready to go, but yeah, I would agree.
Actually, can I make a suggestion since of the time?
Yeah.
Do you want to kind of run through the 3 of yours?
Well, that's true.
So
Yeah, and I can give you my rubric that I've already filled out.
If you want to do
You
that.
can use it as reference too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they were all really well done. But my number 1 was Johnson and Roberts after my tally, and even after the presentation, I felt like they did a really good job. And my number 2 before the presentations was Abacus. I had some concerns on both presentations, on Abacus and DiGiorgio. I felt like DiGiorgio, I felt like they didn't present as well as Johnson Roberts after seeing Johnson Roberts go first. I was more impressed with their presentation. I felt like they could speak to the public better.
Yeah.
But
Okay, so you were Johnson.
And I can give you my rubrics too before I leave.
You are Johnson.
And I'm sorry, number 2 was DiGiorgio?
And then Abacus, okay.
I had Johnson, Abacus, and then DiGiorgio.
Oh, Johnson,
yeah.
Abacus, and then, okay.
that was you said that was an
That was-
initial, but
that was the initial.
even after the presentation?
I feel like after the presentations, I'm still a little torn. I feel like one of my biggest concerns with DiGiorgio was that they didn't do a lot of municipal buildings, where I feel like Abacus did, and they had that vision, and they have that school committee member, so they have that idea of what schools are going to look like, what kind of those kind of buildings are going to look like. So I leaned a little bit on that end, just because of the experience in school municipal setting.
Okay.
I can stay for another 5
Yeah, no,
minutes.
that's good.
Yeah.
And actually, Dave gave me his too. Dave emailed.
As long as he emailed just you, like this.
He just emailed me, he said I could share it.
Yeah.
His first choice was Johnson and Roberts. Second choice was DiGiorgio. And the third choice was Abacus. So a common first choice. So, I think we should go through and rank these. 'Cause
I think we have to do that as part of the exercise.
So are we going to go with the 2 for Abacus? Is that our consensus?
For tab A.
For tab A?
Yes.
Yes.
B, previous project experience. Do you guys have the rubric in front of you?
Yeah,
I do.
Yes.
All right, so I'm not going to read it out loud. What do we think here? This one, again, Abacus.
I thought they did a good job on the previous projects. Project-wise, it looked like they had done some similar projects, fairly cost-effective,
Yep.
with showing quite a few renovations,
Yep.
which was, I think, was one of the keys there. So,
Yep.
I scored them pretty high on the idea of previous experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had 4.
Okay.
Same thing with the municipal,
Well-
go ahead.
The only thing that I was tripping over, if you interpret the rubric really strictly, it's only public projects.
Yes, yeah.
And all their big projects are on the last page, and none of them are public.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I was just looking at
Sorry.
That's my concern as well.
Sorry,
Yeah, I
that's
had
the
a
Georgia.
Oh, you were on
That's
the
the Georgia.
So we're talking Abacus right now.
Abacus,
Oh,
I had
I'm
as a
sorry.
1.
But I agree with you on the Georgia.
But I have a similar concern with Abacus because a lot of their projects are under that $5 million.
Yes.
The municipal projects are under that $5 million number.
Yeah.
They're doing a lot of smaller projects, but I guess the biggest one they've done so far, a municipal project
Yeah,
that they've
nice.
completed is see, that's not a municipal project.
And then
I counted 4 for them.
The adaptive reuse of the Peter Buckley School is still it's not a municipal project either,
Right.
really. Is it?
It is. It's
Oh, it's a senior center,
housing.
okay.
Yeah,
So that's 6.2, that's 1.
Yep,
Uh,
yep. And I think the Jefferson Park, number 3.
Yeah.
Number
But see, that doesn't really qualify because it's 50 million.
It's over the,
Yeah,
Right.
I had them only down as a 1. Didn't fit.
Yeah. So, number 1 fits.
Arlington Housing Authority, yeah, it's in the ballpark. Number 6 on their number 4 on their list.
But it's 13 million.
yeah. I get it.
I'm not trying to nitpick,
Yeah.
That's the
but
criteria.
the rubric
That's the rubric.
Yeah, okay.
says,
I'll go with it.
so,
And they knew the rubric ahead of time, too.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes. So again, I'm not sure that they meet that criteria.
No,
Right.
they didn't.
Am I
So they
Yeah.
only
reading
have
this correctly?
one project.
So, yeah,
Really.
No, it's a 1.
So they're in the same boat as DiGiorgio.
Yes.
so they're
In a lot of ways.
so you're saying they're a 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where Johnson Roberts, for me, took the lead.
I would have given them a 2 because, I think they had a project, And the
But
But the rubric, yeah, the rubric.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're going to interpret it specifically, I feel
And then I think
it's kind of wrong to me to penalize them for doing larger projects because it obviously means they
Yeah,
can hold
Yes.
down.
yeah.
It's still not 5.
Right.
Not 5. Of at
Yeah,
least
even if
5
you count it in the larger projects, it's still not
So
5.
it's fewer than 5 similar projects, and/or...
In their presentation.
And really, the rubric said at least 5.
Right.
Yeah. So,
Which is unfortunate. I'm positive they have at least 5 projects. They just didn't
Yeah.
present.
In that
yeah,
range.
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
All right, so we want to go with 1.
Yes.
Okay. 3 is the references. I'll go from the bottom up. Unacceptable, 1. Any references which indicated caution or expressed any reservations.
So did we do the second part though, the municipal building construction experience?
Oh, do we give them, I mean...
So I had a 4 for that one.
Oh, do we give...
Successful management
we give
of
two,
5 or
we give
more
2,
municipal
oh, yeah,
construction
okay.
or
Yeah.
renovation
I'm sorry, we give
projects.
2 different numbers for that. I'm sorry, okay. Yeah, okay.
So just put it next to it.
Yeah, that's fine.
I would agree on the 4. It definitely showed quite a few municipal.
Yeah.
They just weren't the right price range.
No, that's the right price range. Okay. Everybody else?
Sure.
4 on that?
And then a 1 for tab C.
I think it's a 1 for tab C. I mean, I was kind of a little bit taken aback by getting a negative reference on someone's...
That's fine.
Yeah, I had
Yeah.
2.
So I think you gotta give them a 1.
Well, it just says any reference which indicates caution.
Yeah, and I mean,
Yeah.
it was pretty clear. I mean, right out of the gate, actually. I mean, she was kind of negative out of the gate. I said, oh. So, you know, and then I started asking questions, and she said, well, no, they were okay with that. And, you know, that was kind of the spirit of the... So it was
Okay.
sort of... It was definitely... There was definitely caution and reservations expressed, so I go with the 1 there. Project approach.
You don't have to read it.
Yeah, so...
So,
I'm pretty low on this one, personally.
yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, even before I saw the presentation.
Okay, great, thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Don.
Appreciate it.
It's the fun.
Thanks a lot. Sorry to always be doing this for you, Brian.
No, it's okay. Understandable.
So
That's fun.
I give him low. I give him low on this
Good
because
luck in the
I gave him
second
low to
shift.
begin with. Well, you know, I kind of gave him I was trying to give him a 3 at first because I don't think they addressed the timeline at all in their presentation,
Right.
their written one. And then when I saw it on live, I was like, well, when I saw the tape, it was like
They didn't-
they didn't address it at all.
Yeah,
In fact, they
kinda-
were saying, you know, yeah, we could prepare it for town. Well, you really won't want.
You probably don't even know what you want.
Yeah,
That's basically
exactly.
what they said.
Yeah.
It's almost that's what I felt like you told me.
I think that
You
is what
don't
it felt
know.
like.
Yeah, you can't handle it.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
so, what are we, between a 2 and a 1? Or
Yeah, either one is fine.
I'd go with a 2, because, I mean, there are other areas that they dealt with in the presentation that, about their project approach that I thought were acceptable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think they provided responses to most of the items that were added.
Right.
There was just a couple that weren't, so a 2,
2.
we
Yeah.
all board there? Okay. And then E is staffing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's 2 here, so.
Right.
Inadequate or negative information regarding proposed teams, members, and our project leaders' qualifications, background, or experience.
I was going to say acceptable. I mean, didn't seem like the principal was going to be the contact point. It was going to be the
Right.
younger girl.
Yeah, the younger girl, right. She was going to be a project
Who's
lead.
younger
Yeah.
than me.
Yes.
Yeah,
Which is not bad. Not a bad
Not a
thing,
bad
but
thing,
it's not the same as
Yeah.
the guy's been doing it for 25 years.
yeah.
The project manager, Annie Steele.
Right. So I was giving them a 2 on this.
Yep.
Okay.
I thought that the project leader, I mean, she might have had great qualifications, but they also had quite a few subs and different things like that they were bringing in. And
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a deep concern of mine, which is that most of their work is going to be shipped out to other people. Again, going
Right.
back to my,
There was
is there...
this one where they had another architect firm that,
Yes, they did. I think the HKA they had listed on
yeah,
that.
HK.
Yeah.
I was gonna
So
say.
make it. I didn't.
Landscape stuff. Is that-
No, that was to like. They're a consultant for municipal work, is what it sounded like.
Yeah.
So they just HK is a really big firm.
Yeah.
So they, I mean, you just kind of like throw the name on your team list to
Right.
sound like you're more qualified than you are.
Right.
Right, so, okay, so we're going with the 2.
Firm stability and capacity, acceptable?
I'm sorry,
We
on
do
this one, table E, we have a second one. The sub-consultants, I mean, I was just giving them a 2. They seem qualified, but I have no idea who they, you know.
Right,
Yeah, and they didn't make a real presentation to
Right.
us. Mine.
right.
Exactly.
Okay, so we'll go with 2 and a 2.
Yes.
Is that acceptable to everybody?
Yep.
I'll add them up after. We want to do Giorgio next?
No firm stability. Did we hit that?
We...
Oh, is there another one?
Yeah, tab F on the other
Oh,
page.
sorry. Sorry, I missed it. Sorry, firm stability and capacity, yeah.
I haven't, you know,
I'm a 2.
given their information, we're, you know, we have to...
Yeah, they had one short
I was gonna say either 2 or 3. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
small firm. It's not.
Right.
Right. I was giving it 2 just, because they were lower on the liabilities and things like that. I mean,
Right.
the bare minimum on the liability and stuff of that sort. That was the only thing I was not gonna.
I was just going to try to find their statement. that they did.
Yeah, there was no mentions of financials, so I noticed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just made a general statement like,
Yeah, we're okay.
yeah, we're, right.
Trust me.
Yeah, we're good.
So let's give the 2? Is that what we're heading for?
I think we're heading for the 2 on
All
that.
along with that, yeah. Okay, 2. Good. All right. DeGiorgio next.
Okay.
So, generally here, my honest opinion with these guys is that I worry we're going to be treated a little bit like a number. They're a big firm, and they seem, especially when talking with reading through Heather's references, they seem to definitely put an emphasis on speed and efficiency, which I'm not saying is a bad thing, but I just wonder if they will have a tendency to kind of roll over, that's an impression I got. I'm just kind of.
I was kind of all in on these guys. I was hesitant at first, but after their presentation and the way they talked, I really was impressed with it, and I specifically like the fact that they are also builders, so they know what prices are now, and they made the comment that we'll present to you what we think is good, what is better, and what is best, and price implication of each, and let you guys decide. So, and that's a capability that the other ones don't have. They're gonna do the design,
Right.
then send it out, then get the price back. I don't think there's going to be the back and forth discussion about cost that I think we need to have.
And by the way, that is a concern because, I mean, I know we had the one that had done the library, but if I look at the library, it's got some things in there that are not, that were expensive, that look good, but, they were not the most efficient I mean, granted, we weren't involved in that project.
Right.
But I have to look at that quite a bit.
It's true.
I think a lot of times when you deal with these firms, it's ultimately you have to play a role in the process that leads them in the right direction. And so depending on who was on the building committee for the library,
Right.
They may have sought all of that stuff. So I wouldn't necessarily fault Johnson and Roberts for those decisions, because ultimately the building committee would have decided what got incorporated,
Yeah.
And it becomes a question of who's leading who.
Yeah.
Are you going to let the architect take your project and design
Right.
what they want to
No,
see?
you're right.
Or are you going to tell them what to design?
Yeah.
And I had my concerns about them in general because they're a very big firm, but I think after you look at the presentation, they made a lot of good points in terms of their ability to do non-destructive testing and have everything in-house and pull things back and forth across the hallway versus through email and across the state.
A lot of the technology was impressive too, just the scanning of the building, so it's accurate.
That's
the
true.
speed which they could do that, scanning of the site.
Yeah.
Non-destructive testing.
Yeah. Testing in-house.
I mean, I actually didn't do
pretty much everything in-house.
I didn't look at the rubric until after the presentations, and my impression coming away from the presentations was that I had DeGiorgio as my favorite at that point. We'll go through the rubric and make some deeper dives.
Yeah.
But just the impression that I got after reading their materials and seeing the presentation, they have a deep bench.
Yeah.
And as I said, it's one-stop shopping.
Yeah.
And then listening to the references say, well, it was Tom and they were the guys.
So they kind of, you're saying we get the advantages of a big company, but they give you a small company feel by.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
your references speak to the fact that it wasn't, a big faceless firm. It was Tom and Brian.
And they're a 900-person firm, they kept saying, but they're a 50-person office in Boston. They're not.
So it's a regional.
And again, I always in the back of my mind, the time frame is always
Yep.
something gnawing at the back of my head. And, if you could do something with fast turnaround time because you already have that capability,
Yeah.
you're more likely to get to the goal on time.
Yeah, you're right. I'm
I like
I'm squarely on the fence between those two. I like between Johnson and DeGiorgio. I like components of both. I'm kind of like having trouble.
No,
weighing
I
it.
agree with you. I'm just saying that, one of the things that I brought away from that discussion was, again, thinking about, the time frame. Because let's face it, you know that every month that we don't start a project, the cost goes up.
Right.
Especially in this climate. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent,
Yeah.
because at some point the economy is going to go the other
Well,
way.
that's true.
And then it,
Hey, I got I'm 5 years out, 6 years out. so-
Yeah.
My wife's about to retire. Bite your tongue.
No, I hear you. I got my fingers crossed.
I finally got it back to
I applied for
301K.
Medicare yesterday.
Mr. Chair, if I could make 2 points. One
Yeah.
is, I feel like we should get back on task with
Yeah, the
just
rubric,
going through the rubric.
Yeah,
And then
you're right. I got to have
I have a question for Mr. Londa, and I don't want to take us down a path, but I feel like if we knew more about the testing that's been done in the building, and I know we got an email about some of the hazardous material stuff, if we could have a discussion a little bit at some point, that might help us inform this part of things.
So I agree, then let's go through this last rubric, then we can,
Yeah, or do you want? Are you saying you want to ask your question? I mean, we can ask.
Yeah, I don't know if
He's
you're
sort of here as a
planning
consultant.
on staying for the duration of the meeting?
Yes, I was.
Okay, all right, perfect. So we
Well,
can bring it up at the
okay,
end.
that's
Yeah,
fine.
that makes
All right, let's roll through it then. I apologize, I probably got us off track there. So, DeGiorgio, Table A.
I felt it was acceptable. The problem I had here is they didn't really have a good, cost per square foot in the projects that they were demonstrating. So the projects they were demonstrating that they put in the list of project experience didn't really have a dollar figure for the project themselves. So you couldn't really say, and that's going to go, unfortunately, for number 2
I
for
agree.
them. They dig that from number 2.
No, they had nice project descriptions, but they didn't have, how big it was and how much the project cost.
Exactly.
Was that one of our requirements, or?
Well, it goes back down to tab B then.
Right.
Oh, so we can't fill it out.
So I was kind of making it was acceptable. It was for the rest of it, I think they did a good job of explaining about the subs and other things like that. But
I think they did a much better job at the interview than
Yes.
their presentation.
agree.
The RFQ.
Yeah. I wasn't hiring them for the resume. Wasn't getting them the interview. Let's put it that way.
But they got the interview.
I got the interview, yeah.
They do have 5 projects, but I don't think all of them are municipal.
None of them are.
None of those.
Yeah, they had. I thought that
Let's see.
project experience was
Not a
top.
single one.
Yeah.
That's right. They're all.
And even the ones you talked, I know you talked to. We talked to a few, but they weren't even really.
They weren't. There was a footbridge one.
Right.
For
there was
West Hampton.
A garage.
Yeah,
Feasibility.
parking garage. Then there was 2 senior centers. There was Birmingham Senior Center.
That's community health is not.
So I don't feel like we're in agreement on Table A yet.
Okay.
We've got a couple
I
of
was-
acceptables. What are you thinking, Dave?
I would have gone with a 3, but
Yeah, my problem with this one is that they didn't really demonstrate 5. So, it's hard for me to.
So you're saying that relates,
I mean,
in your view, that relates...
It would make it
relates to a rank?
acceptable, but it wouldn't make it advantageous.
So sort of how they do on Table B relates to the...
In my thinking,
Yeah.
I can be.
Yeah, well, we did have
Just
some pretty specific requirements on that.
Right. I felt like as far as that, they did not really demonstrate well the part of that thing of the size of the project and the dollar figure. So that's why I'm giving it was acceptable. It had things in it, but...
Well, I gave them a 3 on tab A, and I don't think it's necessarily fair to dock them for the project experience stuff, which is in tab B.
Right.
I'm looking just more in general, and I agree that.
The scoring for tab B is going to be bad, but
Will
it's not
reflect
necessarily...
that anyway.
Again,
Okay.
I'll go with consensus on this.
Yeah, and by the way,
I'm more-
I'm okay with that.
I'm more of a
Yeah.
3, so it sounds like we
Okay.
have... Okay.
Yeah, go for a 3.
All right.
And then on
Tab
tab
B,
B,
yep.
they're a 1 there because they don't have a single project in the range. Single municipal project in the range.
Hospital. That is correct.
Yeah.
Everything is healthcare, healthcare, healthcare.
The only
Yeah, there's a lot
municipal
of
one
healthcare.
that was close was the West Hampton Public Safety Complex for 3.97 million, but it doesn't
Fit the criteria.
fit the
Yeah.
criteria, so.
No, I think you're right. Okay.
Yep, with you on that
Okay.
one. And it's a 1-1.
Yep,
basically,
it's a
right?
1-1.
No, they had municipal building projects, it wasn't...
Oh,
It
that's
should be
true.
2, yeah. Demonstration of relevant skills and experience in managing renovation and construction, just not the,
Yeah, they have...
They have 1, 2, don't they? So,
this is my count.
Town of Harvard,
Yeah, they have Hilda's House. they
Hilda's
have-
House, Town of Stoughton,
And how much was that?
Town of Brookline,
Town of
City of
Tewksbury.
Salem, Town of
Tewksbury.
Tewksbury, Town of
Yeah.
West Hampton, City of Framingham.
But again,
Town of
Hildreth
Lynnfield.
House, we don't know how big that project is.
Right, but this,
That doesn't
the second part of the, second part of
Yeah,
tab P doesn't matter.
Second part isn't, yeah.
Okay.
Isn't related to cost. So they definitely got a 1 for the cost because it's none in the range. But I think we're trying to decide whether it's are we just trying to decide whether the second part is a 3 or a 2?
Yeah, and I think the challenge there is the way we've got it worded, it's construction or renovation, so any of the design or feasibility studies wouldn't necessarily qualify.
It seems like they're in the 3 category
Okay.
for me.
All right.
I mean, they got, like David said, there's several. Town of Stoughton, Town of Harvard, Town of Brookline,
Right.
City of Salem, Town of Tewksbury. Well, it might even be, Town of West Hampton. I mean,
I think the problem they have is their dollar value is the dollar that they're getting paid for it.
some of them are, well, they do both. They have,
Right.
They have some that's estimated construction, they have some that's fee, they have some that's,
Yeah.
a lot of to be determined.
Yeah, so they have this community health center renovation and for the city of Quincy. That's 1. I mean, it's a lot. So we're not counting assessments. We're just doing building projects.
I think so.
So design services for the town of Bellingham for the senior center was 2.
Hold on, going back to City of Quincy,
Project will rearrange.
the contact is Director of Construction at Care 1, so is that,
Community Health Center renovation. Yeah, it's probably,
that sounds private to me, but...
Agree.
It says city of Quincy though.
So let's just, if you want to just go through what qualifies as a municipal project, obviously Long Island Campus Facilities Condition Assessment is a municipal project. Senior Center Architectural Design Service is a municipal project.
Well, sort of, because it's got to be municipal construction or renovation. So
And we-
conditions,
okay.
assessments, and feasibility studies are not
Okay.
construction or
I'll go with that.
renovation. So, and again, I'm not trying to nitpick, I'm just
Nope.
trying to follow.
no, we gotta be,
That's fine, we want the same criteria for everybody.
So,
Town of West Hampton, that's 1, right? It's not in our rubric of values,
where you at? Oh, West Hampton.
but it meets as a municipal. Designer services for new public safety complex,
Yeah,
estimated
that's-
construction of
that's pretty clear.
3.9.
That's pretty clear.
We had Harvard, the one at Harvard.
Again, it's,
Yep.
a renovation is Framingham,
yep, so that should qualify.
that's 2.
1, 2, I got 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, so they should get Harvard, West Hampton, Framingham.
Right.
Okay, yeah, they have a feasibility study in
So that's 3.
that's 3.
Because everybody on the last page is private.
Right.
So we have
They get
successful
2 or
management of 2 or more, so they get a
Right.
3.
Yep.
Okay. So Everybody good there?
Yes.
C, references.
All right, we'll go back to that for you.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, they pretty much had, I mean, there were no reservations. The only reservation we had was, not really a reservation, it was just that one of the people on the team had some different ideas. I don't know if that's really a reservation. So we have to, I'd say they're in the 3 or
I would give it a 3 as well.
or 4 category.
I'll give them 3, I guess.
Again, because of it says outstanding recommendation from all reference checks, at least 2 of which involve construction and renovation of municipal buildings. Did you get 2 from municipal buildings?
Yeah, so construction or renovation. So we had the Bellingham Senior Center,
That's 1.
we had the Harvard Hildreth House.
Okay, so you did.
That's 2, and we had the Salem Harbor Parking Garage.
Nope.
But again, that was evaluation.
So that would
Right.
put...
So they only get 2.
So I think they got 2.
So that would put them in the highly advantageous category. Outstanding rep.
I think so. I mean, it
Okay.
seemed like they had pretty good, I mean, it seemed like reading through this, they had, and then there's the Brooklyn Davis Path footbridge, well, that's feasibility though, so it's not,
Right.
So they need 2 to make the category 4, so.
they need 2 to make 4,
And we
we
got-
have 2. So I think it's a 4.
Okay.
Everybody all right with that?
We're okay.
D, project approach.
I thought they had a real good project approach. I mean, I think between the written one, and as well as them describing it, getting folks involved, getting the different things, basically throwing as many people as it was necessary to get this thing done.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I agree.
I agree.
they addressed the time, even in their presentation, the written presentation, they addressed the timetable, their concerns on the timetable. When we talked to them, I think they also addressed it again.
Yeah.
And looked at it as, yes, we know it's tight, but
We can do it.
we can do it.
You go out there, 2 guys, scan the building, have the drawing, start
exactly.
working on it.
Yeah.
That is really cool technology. I mean, it's just, I'm there. I'm highly advantageous for project approach.
Okay.
Everybody good with that?
Yep.
Okay. Proposed staffing. I think this is pretty clear.
Yeah, everyone has a senior member.
Everybody was a senior member. They have they have almost, the only subcontractor they're gonna have is the civil survey component. I know Meridian, and Meridian's a reputable,
Yeah.
Right.
I've worked with them before too, a
Yeah.
long time ago, but.
yeah, I mean, they,
Yeah, I think this is where they were the strongest, which was...
Yeah, I mean,
They have
I
a
think
deep
they did.
bench, and...
I think they get a 4-4 on this.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
agree.
think so.
I agree.
Yeah,
Oh,
firm stability and capacity.
so they had the best when it came to, yes, so,
I mean, they have a,
Yeah, I don't think you can knock them on this one.
yeah, I did, I mean,
right, and they had the highest in the liability as far as
Right.
insurance and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I'm looking to use it, but.
yeah, I think.
But it shows the strength of their
I think you gotta give them a.
4. Yeah, it's a 4 on
I
that.
think you have to.
Okay. All right, next, last but not
Johnson or Roberts?
necessarily least, Johnson Roberts. All right, A, general quality of the response.
I thought it was pretty good. There's only, little bit of missing attention to detail. I referenced this as the library trustees in one
I saw
report.
it, too.
Yes, yeah.
And again, we kind of had to pry him to get the hazardous materials. It was kind of like an application. He said, I didn't think that was in the RFQ. Yes, it was.
Right.
So, small things, but I like these guys. Just minor things that stuck out.
Yeah.
I also noticed that, they did give us the cost estimates on the projects, but they had a lot of expensive projects. Especially as it goes to now. Some of these aren't under completion, but they're giving us some that municipal projects that are over the $600 a square foot. We're in that 4 to 5.
Yeah, I think everybody, all my most of the references I talked to with these guys all describe the buildings as just like, kind of like odd dropping. Like, people walk in there and it's like, oh, wow. And it's like,
Right.
So I think that most of their stuff is not budget finishes.
Yeah.
I think we're talking about,
Right. Well, that's what I was just saying earlier.
Yeah.
Like that was the concern, as from the green side of when we went to look at the library again.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, it looks good, but these things are, there's a lot of expensive fixtures and things of that sort in there.
Yeah, but in terms of whether or not they were advantageous, I guess, in my view, I saw them as more advantageous than, I saw their overall RF response
Yeah.
and their presentation to be a little bit higher than Abacus. Abacus we had at a 2.
I give them a 3.
I'd probably give them a 3 on this.
Yeah.
Certainly not highly advantageous.
I go with it.
Yep. Huh?
Okay.
I agree.
Sure.
Agree.
Previous project experience. Just rolling down through the...
So they did show successful management of, several projects in the frame
Yeah.
that we're looking for. They mentioned the lead project, but they didn't, but didn't say which project it was.
Yeah, one of them, I did, I thought one of the references, oh yeah, the South Hadley Public Library received a LEED certificate. They actually the building received a LEED rating or whatever you call it.
So it was a municipal building that they
It
did.
was a municipal building and it was LEED, so.
Okay.
I counted 7 projects in the range.
So
Yeah.
that's highly advantageous.
And they have LEED experience, so I think you gotta give them highly advantageous.
Okay.
And then they'd get
Same
a
thing
4
with
for the
construction
And
experience.
they have, so they've got a 4-4 on that.
Yep.
C.
References and reputation.
Yeah, references, obviously, I didn't get any that were unacceptable. I didn't get any like, just good or would repeat. They all said they were good and would repeat, but most of them gave glowing, like I said earlier, it was generally a glowing reference. So, I'm definitely in the 3 or 4. 4 means outstanding recommendations from all reference checks, at least 2 of which involve construction renovation of municipal buildings.
And they met that criteria.
We have South Hadley Public Library, Hopkinson Public Library, and Drake at Town Hall,
Right.
Town Hall Library and Fire Station.
Yep.
So I think you kind of got to give them a 4 on that.
Yep. Okay.
Project approach.
So based on the written, and I gave them a little ding here, this was mainly, it seemed like it was just a cut and paste type of
Yeah.
response. In fact, that's what got me was like, this was the one that they left the word library in there,
Yeah.
instead of at least editing and saying something different. Even when we looked at them as I saw the live, I wasn't as comfortable with that project approach with this. I felt that was a little wishy on that as much. Now, they didn't seem to see the same sense of urgency, I think.
I gave them a 3.
I did a 3 as well.
I was thinking 3.
I hit it with a 2 on that.
You had
That
a
was
2?
mainly from that was mainly from what the written more than anything else.
Yeah.
And you guys have the advantage of the
Yeah,
live.
so proposer provided an adequate response that addressed, this is a 2, that addressed most of the items in section 4 of the RFQ and subsection D of section 5. And a 3 is proposer provided an excellent response and addressed most of the items in section 4 of the RFQs. Being adequate and excellent.
So I looked at that's why I said I saw.
Yeah, for all the things Dave said, I'm on the fence between 2 and 3.
And I said I figured it was adequate because, like I said, it was a response, but the fact of the matter of not taking out the word, kind of doing a quick edit. And
Before we met with them, I had them in last place
yeah,
based on the document.
The actual document.
right, right.
They
Yeah, I
moved up
think-
seeing his presentation skills, but
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'd say, I think I'd go with the 2 here.
I'd lean towards a 2 on this one. It's just like I say. You know, you guys had the advantage, by the way, on the tape, there's no, I don't see the presentation.
You don't see the
at all.
presentation at all, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, right.
I just get the guy standing there waving his arms a lot, which was more of the two of them looking at each other, which one of you is going to answer this?
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
I don't want this one.
Brian had 4s here.
Yeah.
A 4 here.
Okay.
I'm sorry, so where are we with D?
So I had a 2.
I have a 2 on there.
I'm switching to 2.
So we have 3 2s. What do you guys?
I had a 3.
You had a 3?
And Brian had a 4. 2 is fine.
You want to say 2 3 and we'll come back to it?
2 is fine.
All right, 2.
I think we've done, you know, we kind of went harder on the other guys a little bit, so
Yeah,
that's
right.
why I'm looking at the same thing with
Okay.
the 2.
All right.
So,
Yeah, I think their project, I mean, I guess I'm looking at what we did for Abacus. I would describe it as not much different than Abacus would give it 2.
yeah.
I mean, they're kind of
Right.
about this, you know, there wasn't anything real notable about it. All right. E is proposed staffing.
So the team members first.
Yeah.
The team members seemed perfectly qualified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in the references, I mean, they were all like, you know, Bill was, you got a principal of the firm that was working with you directly throughout the
Right.
project, and you
Right.
could get a hold of him, I mean, I think, and they spoke very highly of his public presentation skills, and I think you got to give him at least a 3.
Yeah, I can't give them a 4 just because I'm worried about the backup and additional resources.
Yeah,
You know, that this was definitely one of those that you had, this was these guys that you saw, and,
yeah,
you know, behind them.
yeah, additional backup and additional resources available if needed, yeah.
So I would lean towards a 3 here if you want.
I think you got to do a 3.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Anybody else? Are we good there?
Good. Consultants, I think, be in the same boat as we were for Abacus. I mean, some of them were
Lots
the
of
same consultants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of them.
Right. And same thing, it's just they're qualified, fine. I mean, we really...
Yeah, I have trouble with this particular one because, you know,
How do you
all we
know?
get is a bunch of
We
names.
didn't
I
interview
have
them,
no
so-
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't, I mean, we can use, there's sub-consultants, I don't know any of these guys.
But still, it's all you have is, okay, it seems like they're qualified, fine.
Yeah.
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 I think we gotta give them 2, just like Abacus.
Right.
Yeah, I agree there. Okay. And F is firm stability.
I'm giving this, I got this as an acceptable, I mean, you know, they've been around for a while, yes, I didn't see anything glaring there.
Yeah, I'm probably a 3 only
I
because
was marked them a
they've
3.
demonstrated, they've completed probably the most of anybody in the range of
Yeah, exactly right.
cost.
Okay. Do you think they demonstrated capacity to undertake the project?
Well, because they finished it and they got glowing reviews.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
none of the people I talked to said, yeah, you know, they couldn't handle it. They couldn't handle the schedule. There was.
Okay. Yep.
I would lean towards it.
Okay.
Okay.
I was thinking 3 on that one.
All right.
Tanner.
Yeah, I would say at least a 3.
Okay. I'm telling you, 12, 15, 17, 20, 25. So, the results, Abacus got a combined 16, and the ones that had 2, I'm waiting those, I'm giving them 2, like, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm counting them all. So they got a 16, DeGiorgio got a 27, and Johnson got a 25.
Okay.
I mean, that's honestly how I felt.
That's how I felt too. I'm like right squarely on the fence with Johnson and DiGiorgio, and I guess, you know, I'm good. I appreciate having Damon's voice on this because, you know, he is sort of directly in the field, and like I said, I'm on the fence between. Is it more advantageous to have a a company that has a lot of, that has, you know, all the resources? Or is it more advantageous that maybe not, won't, you know, again, my initial concern was that maybe you wouldn't have as
Personal touch.
personal touch. Thank
Yeah.
you. But you've kind of convinced me, and actually, as I'm thinking through this, you're correct in saying that all the references kind of said, that's why we structured the question the way we did, is the references indicated that you sort of, they treat you,
Yeah.
they treat you with some personality.
You can get to the principal pretty quick and
Yeah.
get responsiveness from the principal.
Yeah.
And I think we might even get more of a personal touch because we know the consultants. The other ones,
Yeah.
we don't know them, we didn't meet them, they weren't in
Right.
the room.
Yeah.
We don't know
Yeah, this one-
how in they are with this project.
Yeah, if we have a real concern about HVAC, you know, these guys are more likely to be able to say, hey, can you come to the meeting next week and talk
Right.
about HVAC?
And I know
Have an extra guy in the room.
that those are going to be the major concerns of this building, the structure, the existing systems, and we're going
Yeah.
to rely heavily on
I mean,
that.
frankly, the design is not that big a piece of the
Yeah,
pie.
it's
It's the systems and the
Envelope.
and the envelope.
Sort of. It depends on how far you let them go with the design. In terms of, like Abacus was talking about, oh, let's reconfigure all these walls and so on. I mean, you can take a very simple project and make it very complicated and
Yes.
with the
Yeah.
wrong design. So,
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
And I think the biggest thing we have is that we still have to keep in mind of this time frame.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, and that it's, you know, can we afford to make this be a special town meeting thing, which we all know is not as well, you know, attended or
Yeah.
and things of that sort, or do we really do we have a charter to get this on the spring meeting, type of thing? Yeah.
Well,
I think we have a very ambitious goal to.
We have an
Yes.
ambitious goal.
I think it's going to be, I think this firm can do it. I think it's going to be hard for us to keep
Yeah,
up pace with them.
I think we'll
Yeah.
screw them up more than they'll
Yeah,
screw us up.
like I don't know about you guys, but I barely get the agendas done in a week, never mind.
Sorry, I can't tell you how many meetings have been canceled because I didn't get the agenda out in 48 hours beforehand.
Yeah,
Thank God it was
I
Martin
felt
Luther
terrible. It
King.
ended up working out fine, but it
No,
won't
no,
be
no.
off. But I felt
Now
terrible
I'm
with it.
almost missed my one for tomorrow for that reason. So
I wasn't upset to see that email roll through.
All right, good. I just
For what it's worth.
Okay.
And it's water under the bridge now. But,
Yeah.
So I'm comfortable with that. Like I said, I'm right on the sort of right on the fence.
So
and
should we entertain a motion to
Yeah,
recommend?
I'm happy to entertain a motion.
Well, should we talk to John a little bit?
I'm happy
Yes.
to talk to John a little bit
Okay.
too.
I think that makes...
Do you want to step up to the table for a minute, or just so that some of us don't have to strain our poor necks? No.
Yeah, if you
Or
have
so you can be on camera.
Well, one question I had in particular that came up in the interview process, and I'm not sure which firm brought it up, but I want to say it was Giorgio, but they talked about asbestos in the roof deck, and they basically made the comment, if we find asbestos in the roof deck, you might as well demo the building.
Well, he was talking about a different product, a concrete roof, asbestos
In the
filled
concrete.
concrete deck
Yeah.
for the roof, and we don't have that, we have a wood roof.
Okay, all right. But can you talk a little bit about the testing in general, what testing has been done, what hasn't been done, and
Sure.
kind of...
I'll give you the short version. So we had a very, very small firm as the asbestos planner dating back to '97. And so around 2011, we had the Department of Labor come in and pretty much give us the riot act for having this really small firm, and the quality of their work they said wasn't good. So we hired in 2011 Cardno ATC, now ATC Group, and so we had them come in and they did all new testing. So our current adherer report has all the testing data in it.
I'm sorry, John, 2017 you said?
In 2011.
2011, I'm sorry, 2011.
So 2011. So we have we think we have good test data, but it's adherer, so it's not the entire building. When I say that, so they they're testing types of things, but there's things they won't test, like they will not test the roof.
Mhm.
And you do have 2 layers of roof deck, the original roof, and then you have EPMD roof over that. So none of that got tested. They tend to look at the inside of the building and not the exterior, although I don't think we have much in the way of the exterior to be worried about. They did, I'm not 100% sure about mastics, and that's one of the areas that I would be concerned about is mastics. Because while there's 3 hallways that have been, or 3 hallways that have been replaced with a 12 by 12 tile, I have no idea what's underneath that. As far as, is the mastic hot or not? That was done prior to '97, so
Gotcha.
So I have some serious concerns about if it's hot or not. When we do asbestos removal now, we just we take the tile, we take all the mastics.
Right.
So we know that it's clean, ready to go. So
you make that assumption whether...
So yes, that's some additional testing that might be needed. But for the most part, most of the building still has the original flooring. So it's got 9 by 9 tiles that are hot, and the cove moldings throughout the building are hot. We abated the boiler room, so there's nothing in the boiler room. That's the good news. But any of the piping that's above the ceilings is gonna be hot, except for some newer stuff that we put in. I know there's some transite panel, not a lot, but there was some in the building, a little bit. So yeah, a lot of asbestos.
Okay.
Honestly.
I'm not familiar enough with the testing procedures, but I would anticipate that depending on how far down the line you go with it, at some point, because the building's occupied and we're going to be disturbing things, are we going to trigger any sort of immediate remediation? In other words, if we vote tonight, we get an architect and have them start really digging in and do a full assessment.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean,
Okay.
they would, they're gonna, if they said, oh, look, we're gonna go take a sample of the blue 12 by 12 tile, they rip a piece of that off, they gouge out a little bit of, none of it's friable, and they can
Okay.
test it.
I just don't want to open a can of worms for us
Yeah.
if, say
I
we
don't-
go to town meeting and they don't vote to reno
Yeah, no, I don't think
and
that's...
spend the money, but if on any sort of testing that
No,
now
'cause we were-
starts a clock that says, oh, well, now you know for sure
Yes.
that this tile is
Yeah,
bad.
no, that,
Right.
I mean, we know all the tiles bad.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean-
And like I said, we do have the test data. I think I sent out in September to the town manager the most current summary sheet of what we have as far as known asbestos.
Okay.
That's a good list, because that was updated in May of last year. And, any further testing is not going to be a problem
Okay.
at all. Because we have to keep the building.
I just know in some situations, if you do a Title V inspection and it fails, you have 2 years to
Right.
Yeah, no,
upgrade the
we
system, and I
don't
didn't
have
wanna-
those problems with this. I mean, it's
Okay.
we came in
Shoot ourselves in the foot.
No, I understand that well, yeah.
more along the lines of, hey, look, somebody went and did something, disturbed stuff, and didn't know that that's what they were doing.
Right.
When you have issues like that.
Okay.
Right, it's kind of like the lead paint deal. If you rip it off the wall, you're okay, but if you try to get it off the wall, you have to bring the
I think that's actually is a pretty good point. There are other hazardous materials, things that
Other than
we
the
have
asbestos,
not
right.
tested for, so...
So you're saying the destructive demolition that Abacus was proposing is a bad idea?
So there could be some
Yeah.
PCBs. We don't have, all the lighting has been taken care of, so I don't
Right.
think you have
Good.
any issues with lighting
Right.
as far as, PCBs and ballast, but lead paint, I mean, the building was built in '52.
Right, it's right at the cusp, yeah, yeah.
So you could have some of that.
Yeah.
And, like I said, the PCBs, we've never tested for it, but then again, I'm not even sure. Other buildings, I knew we had areas where there were joints and we were concerned about PCBs, but the positives, no.
Okay,
Okay.
okay. And other one, did any of these guys reach out to you and chat?
Yeah, so I've only had, I had one, Heather contacted me and I took David Ice Eisner?
Goes
From
Abacus.
Abacus
Okay.
to the building.
Okay. And the other two, no, no, okay.
You know, if it was not with me.
Okay, all right. Okay, but they know even reaching out to you for reports or any other questions or anything?
Heather reached out a second time on asbestos, and I pretty much sent her the same thing, the summary sheet. Because
Gotcha.
the whole of the HERA report's like a 4-inch binder.
Okay.
So I just sent her the summaries, but included in that binder are the specific testing details, you know,
Okay.
of how much asbestos were in the samples and what was sampled.
Okay. And it was interesting how Abacus was the one that hemmed and hawed probably the most about the asbestos thing, right? And during the interview.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
They should have known we were
yeah,
going to need that.
Yeah.
They walked through the building.
Right.
When
And
we
you
worked,
pointed
I
it
did
out.
talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had this here, we had that there.
Yeah.
Right.
Same way you did with us when we...
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, and I remember I think it was DiGiorgio said, had a pretty, they have in-house testing
Right.
capabilities, and I think it was them that talked about all the PCBs, and at least one of them brought that up.
Yes, I think they were the ones that brought that up, as well as...
So they seem like they have a real comprehensive approach to it.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Right.
And they also had the non-destructive testing.
Yeah, they're under, yeah.
Yeah, the only other thing I could think of is, because we were having the original air handlers, there's some fabrics also that could be asbestos.
Right.
That's associated with that, but we have not tested any of that. But
Yeah.
Right.
it's limited, it's not a lot, but it's
Yeah.
there. And it's in an area that's got asbestos anyhow.
Gotcha.
Okay.
While you're at it, you're gonna...
Yeah.
Okay. I do think I should... Well, anything else for John?
No, I think that was
Thanks,
very
John.
helpful.
Thank you, John.
Thanks.
Thanks, John. I would be remiss if I didn't
Read
at
Dave's
least summarize... I mean, I could read it. He said I could read it.
Yeah.
You want me to read it?
Yeah, if it's not too long.
It's not too long. I'll read it.
And he kind of was leaning towards these two firms as well.
His first was Johnson and Robert, and the second was I'm sorry, I'm gonna...
DiGiorgio.
DiGiorgio.
DAI.
Yeah, DAI. I'm gonna keep... I'll have to get it.
Yeah.
He says, as mentioned I'll just read it. As mentioned in our last meeting, I'm out of town this week, will not be able to attend tonight's meeting. Based on the agenda wording, I'm assuming the committee might not be ready to make a final selection, but could if they so choose to. With that in mind, based on the information available to me prior to tonight's meeting, the following prioritized list would be my personal recommendation, and I've given you that. Note that I would have rather had the results of reference checks and also some feedback from former members of the Library Building Committee, which, by the way, I have reached out to, but have as yet not been able to connect. With that said, barring any negative revelations from those sources, this is what I recommend at this time. And then Johnson, DAI, and then Abacus is third. So I think, I think that the references kind of speak for themselves, And I think it would be nice to have, the library, his point about the Library Building Committee would have been nice to have, but I just, for all the reasons we've expressed here, I think...
Well, I do have something that, if I was Johnson and Roberts, and I had a great experience with my Lunenburg library, they would have been one of my
References.
Right? Because, who better to talk to in Lunenburg than in Lunenburg,
Yeah,
right?
that's
Type
true.
of thing. And I thought that was strange. I felt like that was like a weird one. Why wouldn't you have,
It's true.
Lunenburg as your guy? Yeah.
Maybe.
That's thought that we would-
It's close to 18 years ago now, so
Yeah.
it could be
That is
That's
true,
a long
too.
ways.
who knows?
It was 18 years?
Almost, 17 years, yeah.
Yeah, it was right as I was moving to town that it opened
Okay.
in Rivers.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Well,
So who knows who's around?
Well, I had that problem with a couple, and they were only like...
No, wait,
7, 8, 9
I thought we
years
did the primary school, with the primary school first.
primary and public safety were 04, 05,
Okay.
and I think the library went first.
No, the library was after. I think it was definitely after.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
after.
Yeah, it was definitely after.
'Cause I-
When I first moved up here, I would go to the old library, and
Right.
I was 18 years
Well, you're
ago.
sitting
And
up
it was in the,
You said
right.
Yeah.
I graduated in '05, I'm pretty sure this was still a library.
Yes, it was. It was in 05.
We moved up in 2003.
So it was still a while ago, but in their presentation, they did have a picture of the site and the groundbreaking, so it wasn't like they were trying to...
No, I don't think they were trying to
Oh, yeah,
avoid
well, they
it.
definitely put it into the presentation, but it
Right.
was...
But, so they had...
It
yeah.
is planned in, yeah.
And, they had other buildings that were 2010, their projects, they showed 2010 and things like that, which is, to me, if I remember right, that's kind of where I'm thinking the library was. Because I know it wasn't that old when we just had to go through the new heat system, new this, new that.
Could be at least 15 then.
Okay, all right. But still,
Anyways,
it just was one of those.
Still surprised with all the energy upgrades you have to do with, that building's not that old. You've,
Exactly.
I mean, done a lot on that end. Didn't we have problems with the roof on that one?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, they had the problems with the roof. They had the problems with, a couple
I
of
think
those.
the roof problems were construction issue.
Yeah, it was a
wasn't
construction
design
issue.
thing.
Right.
But
We
They
definitely,
actually had to get the
there was
guy back.
quite a bit of VE in that too, right? We value engineered a bunch of stuff out
Yeah.
there, right? Isn't that why the siding is a little...
Yes.
Wasn't that a value engineer?
Yeah.
So there was definitely some...
Are we ready for a motion?
Yeah, I'm ready for a motion.
I'd make a motion to recommend DeGiorgio Associates as the architect of choice.
I'll second that.
Is there any further discussion?
I think we've beaten the horse.
We've beaten the horse. Okay, I don't want to cut it off too quick. This is a big decision, so.
No, stand.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? None. Okay. All righty.
Congratulations, guys.
It's good.
Yeah, I think we did this pretty quick.
It's very good, yeah.
Right.
Okay, excellent.
Now get them out here to measure the building.
Yeah, it's Monday. Well, I mean,
Yeah, I want to see plans by the next meeting.
The timing of this relative to the budget season and everything, it's just brutal for Heather, I know, but
Yes.
it is what it is.
Right.
Okay, I have our standard items here. Review and approve minutes.
No minutes.
No minutes, and I don't have any from the last time either. I got to bang out a couple. Or
Okay.
one. Any new business?
Yes. Just talking to Heather, I think we should get some placeholders on the town meeting warrant before it closes. Even if we do one for making the actual presentation for approval, or if it's, and maybe another for a status update, and we can just drop off whichever one doesn't happen, but we should at least get on the warrant before it closes.
Okay, so I gotta tell you, I am completely clueless how that would work. So, do we draft proposed articles with our committee and then give them to somebody that needs to sponsor it?
Heather could play a major role in helping with the language on that.
So maybe we should put that on the agenda for the next
When
meeting,
does
is to
the
adopt
warrant
that.
close?
March 16th, I believe she said.
Okay, so probably two articles.
Yeah,
And then we
we'll
just
pick
use
one.
whatever one we need. Articles. March 16th, you said?
I didn't think we had a choice, no.
Okay, so we'll put that on the next agenda to discuss.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? Relative to next meetings, we had set next week, so this was sort of the extra meeting, and then we continue on the 2nd and 4th. Do we want to
I'm
continue to do
sorry,
that?
can I jump back
Yeah, no, absolutely.
to the business
Yeah.
first? It might be advantageous once we kind of sign the papers with these folks to put together a press release for the Ledger,
Oh, okay.
That'd be a good idea.
so that we could, get people's attention.
Right.
And Heather can do her social media, Facebook posts and everything too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be a good time to start thinking about back to put in our public outreach
Yeah.
agenda item here and
Yeah,
talk about that.
that would probably also be an agenda item that we should
Yeah, let's
start
do that.
thinking about.
So press release.
We should let people know we're going full steam ahead so they're not,
Absolutely.
where'd this come from?
Right, right.
Okay.
As well as, because that'll be easier if we're looking for public comments, we're looking for other groups that would be interested
Yeah.
for their comments, being able to post it ahead of time.
Okay, community outreach agenda item, got it. Okay, thanks, Mike. It's good. I had streamlined this a little bit because we were...
Yep.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
So future meetings, we had planned on the 2nd and 4th Wednesday, so next week and the 4th.
I am not here next week. So
Okay, I wonder if
Okay.
next week is even...
No, it doesn't make sense.
Valuable.
It doesn't.
Because Heather has to do the negotiations and actually sign the contract with them.
Right. That's not going to happen
Nope.
before next week. So we had thought maybe the 12th and the 26th. Do we just want to do the 26th, or do you want to maybe try to grab something that middle week, the third week?
Just, go with whatever anybody needs, but I'm not available on the 26th.
Yeah, okay.
If Heather can get everything worked out, then I think the 19th.
Yeah.
Well, let's put it on let's shoot for that then, and then I'd rather have it on the schedule and not need it.
I'll be doing it remote on the 19th.
Are we doing it remote on the
Yeah.
19th?
But that's okay. Don't worry about it. If that's
Okay.
the initial meeting,
All right.
I think it's just, that's not what I'm...
We can do
the big one.
video, right?
Well, we have video, yeah.
Well, but what I mean is, could we do a live
FaceTime?
FaceTime? Can we do that?
Yeah.
I mean, the Concom does it.
Yes.
Yeah,
I just-
there's a
Well,
bylaw for it.
Okay, and the bylaw covers every committee, you don't have to
Yes.
like specifically, okay.
No.
All right, so we could try to set that up.
Perfect. Well, either way.
Yeah.
I might be driving somewhere between Quebec and Montreal. But
Okay.
That's okay. I'm not going to worry about it.
All right, so we'll drop the 12th and we'll pick up the 19th and the 26th?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yes, I agree. It makes more
And
sense.
again, I won't be available on the
26th?
On the 26th.
All right. Sorry, Mike, but we'll have to roll without you. All right, so
Still 6 p.m.
6 p.m. Is that all right, Mike?
6 p.m.
Okay. And then I don't think it makes much sense to set March, because I think that whoever we select will probably have some input
Yeah,
on
they can start
how
driving
often.
the boat.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, I'm assuming that, because this is how it worked with the school building committee, is that once we take these guys on, they'll be the ones that would be producing our minutes.
Yes.
That's a great question. That'd be awesome.
Not that I have any vested interest in it.
I mean, that was kind of the owner's project manager's role, wasn't it, Mike?
Yes.
Well, I'll ask Heather on that. Maybe she can work that into the negotiations. Okay. All right, we'll see what happens with that. Okay. Is there any public comment from the public? Seeing none. Is there any further public comments from the committee members?
Just a quick one. In my business travels, I went down to the municipal offices in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and it's actually located in a strip mall. But you walk through the door and it's nice. Not expensive finishes. It's just cheap vinyl floor, ceiling like this, but new, but bright, clean. You walk through the door. There's 3 people at the desk. Say, "Who do you need? What are you here for?" It's like going to a restaurant. He's like, "Yep, take care of you." But not extreme finishes. No, they didn't spend a lot of money on it, but it's still nice, pleasant, and good experience.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking for.
Yeah, that's
something functional and
really good. Yeah. And we, it probably, I'll say a piece too. It probably would help us. I deal with a lot of town halls in my business, and the one that every time I go there and come back, I always say something to someone in the office like, "Man, it's the nicest town hall to work in. It's the town of Acton." And I'm always at the land use desk, but partly it's just they have really personable staff, and they're they really want you to. And I'm not saying ours isn't. I'm just saying they just really draw you in. But part of it, I think, is the format, the way they have. You walk in, there's a desk, There's always somebody there. Just the format, it kind of
Agreed.
just funnels you to the right place. And so it's just one that
Are they
pops into
open
mind.
on Fridays?
I think probably, yeah.
Could you post a meeting agenda on a Friday?
Yeah.
Yeah, that killed me.
No, we understand too well.
Well, it was the Martin Luther holiday that really killed me. I
Yes.
just did not have it on my radar at all. So, you know, the architect's probably going to want some input on that, and I know that we're going to get some from the town manager and staff.
Right.
But that to me is usability, welcoming
Right.
is like really important.
And I really do believe that this is going to be important for the interview process of the staff of what they really need.
Yeah.
Because what you need and what you don't, like walking in there and seeing like the superintendent's thing at that much square footage, do I really need that much
Right.
square footage and things of
Yeah.
that sort.
Right.
Everybody wants,
Exactly.
but what do you need even with expansion?
Right.
What do you need?
We have the whole building, but if we can, we're going to be
Yeah.
paying cost per square foot on a lot of things, but if
Exactly.
there's leftover that we can leave for just storage and future expansion.
Right.
So,
And I apologize, I should be saying this when Brian's here, but I understand that it's a school building. However, I don't feel that they should have an inordinate amount of say as to what happens with the building. I do believe that, the Brooks House is sitting there, and other than somebody picking that up and moving it, I don't understand that to me is the least useful town building that we have right now. Because, nobody's going to give land with that. Nobody's
Right.
going to give anything.
Care what you do.
Whatever we're going to do with it. And they need to think about things in a different way. Not just because they're occupying that space, do they necessarily own the space.
Well, they don't own it, the town owns it.
Town owns it.
No, you know what I mean.
Transferred it, but
Right.
they're one of the proposed uses where they have, not
Exactly.
just the offices, they have school, kind of program after school activities.
Agree, but that's what I'm saying. It's just that, just because you're there today doesn't mean that it's, the most advantageous place for you as you
I
move
get you,
forward.
yeah. I get you.
And that's the only thing. I think there's a lot of, unfortunately, as I said before, I think there's a lot of things we're going to give a presentation about the Passios. However, there's a lot of things that folks have to think about.
Right.
Because that dollar figure is going to be tough when you say, okay, we're mothballing this, and this.
Right.
And all that
Well,
stuff.
again, I think we have to be clear with the community that this is the charge that we have been given by the community. We're not charged with what happens to the Brooks House. We're not charged with what
Right.
happens to Town Hall. We're not charged with what happens to the old primary
Because
school.
we've seen over the past 20 years, if you try to do everything at once, you do nothing. So you
Right.
got to pick one, start the dominoes.
So I think that we have to just, be clear that this is not our charge. Our charge is to deliver a feasible project for Town Hall that includes community uses and includes school uses. That's our charge.
Well, not really. Our charge is to get the design work done.
Right.
Right.
But it's not to push the project forward, it's to get the design work done. That's the
Well,
way-
no, but I'm not going to get behind a design thinking that I'm not behind a project. The design is the...
No, I'm just saying, at town meeting, they did not...
Right. Oh, yes. Yeah, no, I understand what you're
To do
saying.
the work, yeah.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that once
I see what you're
you
saying.
buy the design,
Right.
there'll be a vote on, okay,
Oh, yeah.
how are you going to pay
certainly.
for this?
Yeah.
Certainly.
Yeah.
But if they look at the price tag and say, geez, 15 million isn't in the budget, then
Right.
it's torpedo.
And-
That's what it is, yeah. No, you're right.
And this committee isn't responsible for what happens to Ritter and Town Hall and
Right,
Primary
exactly.
and Brooks and all of that. But as a taxpayer, I think that's going to be one of their big concerns.
It
Right.
is.
And unfortunately, as a town, and there's no single person you can point to,
Right.
we haven't done a great job with that.
Right.
And so it makes it more challenging for people to buy into projects when they feel like the primary school is sitting there, and now we're going to have 2 more vacant buildings, and there's
Yes.
no clear future for these, unfortunately.
It is. It's difficult.
Right.
It's just a difficult situation, and it has nothing to do with our charge is, but. I think
Agree. It's just, I'd hate to be where, like, we're all dedicating a lot of evenings and a lot of time to this, and at the end, you know that, I don't know how you guys feel, but at the end, I want to have a feeling like I'm presenting something that should pass. You know? And as somebody who's tried to go up in front of town, like, several times to get something to pass, it's frustrating when you sit there and...
I've been shot down before, too.
Right, exactly, right? And it's, you know, yeah.
We first met on the endless reuse committee meetings.
Yes.
It went on for 3 years.
Yep.
Right. And that,
And yet we're still here.
Yeah.
Nothing's been reused.
Hope springs eternal.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I mean, that's a good point. Those are both good points. And what I've been saying all along is, and I still feel this is the case, is that we don't have any choice but to focus on our charge.
yes,
But
I agree.
I do want to, and I say it publicly, I do want to participate in the discussion. So to the extent that the discussion is happening on a more corporate level with the select board or whoever else, I certainly want to operate with transparency in this process and be available, in the larger
Right.
context. We're sort of I see this as a subset of that, a piece of the puzzle, so to speak. And
Well, I
so we
think
got to be good team players here, and I want to be.
I think the Board of Selectmen kind of said we're not doing the whole thing. They're focusing on the primary, we're focusing on this one, but they're not
gonna
there's
do
no effort right now for the
And
solution.
I see that too, but I just want to say out loud that
Yeah.
if and when that changes, I just want to make sure that we're not over here working on our own thing with our heads in the sand, that we want to be part of the...
Well, and I think from our perspective, there's a lot of areas where this project has an impact on everything around it.
Mhm.
I mean, the skate park, the senior center, Brooks House, library, it's all right there. And
Yeah.
a lot of the engineering that we're going to be doing, if we're careful about it, we can address some other issues.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, I don't know how everybody else feels, but the driveway situation there, I mean, the cars queue up on Mass Ave all the time.
Yeah,
In my
for the
mind,
school
for the
drop-offs.
school. And
Yeah.
the parking, anytime the soccer fields are in use, the cars are all parked on the median. We've got plenty of real estate there. Why
Yeah.
we didn't do 2 lanes on both sides,
Yeah.
or some designated parking.
It's one of those things where I looked at that design and I said, oh, that's going to be like more than adequate. Like,
Yeah.
the queuing length that we have there, you're thinking to yourself, you've got, I don't know how many, 1,000 feet to the...
Yeah.
Right.
You're
Yeah, and
thinking,
it's
there is
straight
so
line.
much room for cars queuing in the
Yeah.
morning, and it's just incredible. Like,
Yeah.
you just don't figure that now not everybody,
no one
but
wants to
a
take the bus.
huge percentage doesn't take the bus anymore.
Yes.
Yeah, and
And it's
even
a-
the parking behind TCP where it's just gravel right now, I mean, that wasn't meant to be parking, that was meant to be put back to grass.
Right.
And there's always vehicles there, I mean...
Well, actually, it was at the end of the project where we decided we're going to leave the gravel because
Well, someone
we could always use overflow parking.
Overflow
Yeah.
parking.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, that was the...
yeah.
Yeah, they actually
You're right.
threw that in for nothing. They gave us.
I think they gave us a credit.
Yeah.
Because they were going to have to rip it out
And
and
good
seed
thing,
it.
because
Yeah.
we're using it all the time.
Right.
Right. So it's those type of things that, I think, regardless of what town meeting decides, we'll have a good set of plans and we can address some other issues and at least have the information to start working in a positive direction with some of this stuff. So.
That means-
Certainly, there's plenty of property in front of the building that, encompasses that big circle that could easily be recaptured for additional parking.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That triangle there is just enormous.
Right.
Yeah.
Or even if you looked at the queue, if you queued them more from the other side of the library and they had to come in that way, across that triangle of parking. And if that's the queue, fine, that's the queue. I mean,
Yeah.
you're adding a
Let's look at-
lot more feet that way.
Right.
Right.
It's great. I'm just amazed that you pull it, I mean, I don't drop my kids off, they walk most of the time, but every once in a while they get something to carry to school, so I drive them in. It's amazing. It's incredible how many...
Yep. And they did a traffic study. When they did
Right.
that.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
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 Guess nobody had cars back then. Yeah.
4 years ago.
Exactly.
Way back then.
Way back when, in 2013, or whatever.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Anybody else?
Good.
All right.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, everybody.